The rain hammered against the windows the night Alina's world fell apart. She stood in her white bridal dress, hands trembling, staring at the message that had just come from Daniel, the man she believed would be her. Husband by morning. Asterisk, I can't do this. You're not what I want anymore. Asterisk, those words struck harder than any storm outside. She felt the ground vanish beneath her feet. Minutes later, the wedding planner called, her voice shaky, saying Daniel had already left the city and canceled everything. Friends whispered through messages, relatives called in shock, and the expensive haul she had booked was suddenly meaningless. Asterisk Alina tore off her veil and ran outside, letting the cold rain soak her dress until it clung to her like a heavy reminder of the dream that just died. She remembered every promise Daniel had made, every sweet word, every plan for their future, and all of it now felt like a cruel joke. Asterisk, she walked for hours, alone, her mascara running down her face, until she reached an empty bench near the river. The city lights flickered on the water, reflecting her shattered heart. Asterisk, how could he do this to me? She whispered to the night, but the wind carried her voice away. Asterisk, days passed, yet the pain did not. Everywhere she went, she saw reminders of the life she was supposed to have. She couldn't escape the pity in people's eyes, the humiliation of being abandoned at the final moment. Asterisk, one morning, unable to breathe under the weight of her heartbreak, Alina packed a small suitcase and bought a one-way ticket to a small, quiet town she found on a random map. No one would know her there. No one would whisper. Asterisk, she didn't care about the future anymore. She just wanted to disappear, to rewrite her life far from the ruins that Daniel left behind. Asterisk, she didn't know it yet, but this painful escape, Asterisk, was leading her straight to the man who would change everything. Alina's first morning in the small town felt strangely peaceful. The air smelled of wet earth and pine trees, and instead of traffic and wedding gossip, she heard birds, distant laughter, and the soft hum of a quiet life. She rented a tiny room above a bakery, where the scent of fresh bread drifted through her window every dawn. Asterisk, she spent her days wandering through the town square, trying to stitch the broken pieces of her heart back together. People here didn't judge her, they didn't even know her name. And somehow, that anonymity felt like healing. It was during one of her evening walks that she met Ethan. He was repairing a broken wooden fence outside a small abandoned house. His clothes were worn, his boots covered in dust, and his hair ruffled by the wind. But when he looked up and smiled, there was a gentleness in his eyes that made Alina pause. Asterisk, you're new here, he said, brushing sawdust off his hands. Asterisk, she nodded timidly. Just trying to start over. Asterisk, Ethan didn't pry. He didn't ask about her past or where she came from. Instead, he offered her a warm nod and continued working, humming softly to himself. Asterisk, over the next few days, their paths crossed again and again. At the bakery, at the river, near the old bookstore. Each time, Ethan greeted her with the same calm smile, as if he understood the silent storm inside her without needing to hear the story. Asterisk, one afternoon, Alina saw him carrying groceries up a steep hill. She hurried to help, and together they struggled up the path, laughing breathlessly when a stubborn bag of apples escaped and rolled back down. She hadn't laughed like that since before her heart was shattered. Asterisk, Ethan invited her to sit with him by the riverbank. They talked for hours about simple things, childhood memories, favorite places, and dreams they never told anyone. Alina was surprised by how easy it felt to open up to him. There was no pressure, no judgment. Just warmth. Asterisk, when the sun dipped behind the hills, painting the sky orange and gold, Ethan looked at her. His voice soft. Asterisk, you seem like someone who's been carrying too much for too long. Asterisk, she felt her throat tighten. But before she could reply, he added, Asterisk, you don't need to tell me. But just know you're safe here. Asterisk tears filled her eyes, not from sadness this time, but from the unfamiliar comfort of being seen, truly seen. For the first time in months, Alina felt her heart slowly begin to breathe again. Asterisk, little did she know. Asterisk, the man who looked like he owned nothing, was quietly giving her everything she needed. Days turned into weeks, and Alina found herself slipping into a rhythm she never expected, a life built on simplicity, sincerity, and the quiet presence of Ethan. The town slowly embraced her, but it was Ethan who became her anchor. Asterisk, they cooked meals together in his tiny kitchen, where the stove flickered and the cupboards barely closed. Sometimes they walked through the forest trails, where he pointed out birds and plants with a childlike excitement. Alina adored those moments, how Ethan made the world feel gentle again. Asterisk, but then things began to shift. Asterisk, one evening, as they ate dinner on the creaky wooden porch, Ethan's phone buzzed. His face changed just slightly, but it was enough for Alina to notice. He excused himself, stepping away for a few minutes. She heard only fragments of his low voice. Asterisk, not now. I told you I'm not returning. Leave me out of it. Asterisk, when he came back, his smile was there, but thinner, weaker like a mask placed over something heavy. Asterisk, Alina didn't ask. She respected his silence the same way he had respected hers. Asterisk, but soon after, Ethan started disappearing for hours. Sometimes for a whole day. He'd return exhausted, dirt on his clothes, tension clinging to him like a shadow. She asked if he was all right, and he simply replied, Asterisk, everything's fine. Just taking care of things. Asterisk, she wanted to believe him, but doubt crept in. Asterisk, one afternoon, as she walked home from the market, she saw Ethan standing behind the old general store, arguing with a man in an expensive suit. The contrast between them was jarring. Ethan, in his worn jacket, looked small beside the man whose shoes alone seemed worth more than Ethan's entire house. Asterisk, the man spoke sharply, pointing at Ethan as if scolding him. Ethan's jaw tightened. His eyes flashed with a coldness Alina had never seen. Asterisk, before she could call out to him. The man stepped into a sleek black car and disappeared. Asterisk, Ethan turned. His entire posture softened the moment he saw her, as if he was switching between two versions of himself. A version she knew, and a version she didn't. Asterisk, what was that about? She asked gently. Asterisk, Ethan hesitated. For a moment, silence hung between them like a warning. Asterisk, just business, he said finally. Nothing important. Asterisk, but the lie was obvious. She felt it like a crack spreading through glass. Asterisk, that night, Alina couldn't sleep. She lay awake, replaying every moment, his phone calls, his disappearances, the men in suits. She wanted to trust him, but fear gnawed at her. Asterisk, who exactly was Ethan? Asterisk, what was he hiding? Asterisk, and why did the poor man she loved seem entangled with a world he pretended not to belong to? Asterisk, the truth was approaching quietly, like a storm forming on the horizon. Asterisk, and when it finally broke, it would change her life forever. The storm arrived not with thunder, but with silence heavy, suffocating silence. Asterisk, a week after she saw Ethan arguing with the man in the suit, everything changed. Asterisk, it began early one morning. Alina was preparing tea in Ethan's tiny kitchen when she heard the sound of engines, several of them pulling up outside. She peeked through the window and froze. Asterisk, 3 black luxury cars had stopped in front of the house. Men in tailored suits stepped out, moving with the confidence of people who owned everything they touched. Their presence felt completely out of place in the quiet, sleepy town. Before she could make sense of anything, the door swung open. Ethan stepped inside, but he wasn't alone. Behind him stood 2 men who didn't even attempt to hide the authority in their eyes. Ethan looked tense, breathless. as if he had run from something far bigger than himself. Asterisk. Alina, he said in a low voice, go upstairs, please. Asterisk, she shook her head, fear racing through her. What's happening? Who are these people? Asterisk, before Ethan could answer, one of the men stepped forward, bowing his head with strict respect. Asterisk, sir, he said firmly to Ethan, not Alina. The board is waiting for your decision. You cannot delay any longer, asterisk, sir? The words stabbed the air like a secret finally slipping out. Alina looked at Ethan, searching his face for an explanation. He avoided her eyes. Asterisk, another man spoke, his voice sharp and polished. Asterisk, Mr. Blackwood, your uncle has mismanaged the company into crisis. Without your return as CEO, the entire empire will collapse within months. You are the rightful heir. You must come back. The world around Alina tilted. Mr. Blackwood? Heir? CEO? Asterisk empire? Her thoughts crashed into each other. Ethan, her humble, poor, gentle Ethan, was standing in front of her like a completely different person. His posture had changed. His expression hardened. He looked like a man who belonged in skyscrapers and boardrooms, not in a small house with peeling paint. Asterisk, she finally found her voice. Ethan, what are they talking about? Pain flickered in his eyes. He dismissed the men with a nod, and they stepped outside, giving him space. The moment the door closed, Ethan ran a hand through his hair, the weight of the truth pressing down on him. Asterisk, I didn't want this life anymore, he began softly. I walked away from it years ago. The money, the greed, the pressure, everything about it destroyed me after my parents died. Alina's heart pounded. I came here to disappear, he continued, to live as someone simple, to find peace, to find something real. She stared at him, unable to speak. Ethan took a step toward her. Alina, I never meant to lie to you. I just, asterisk, never meant to lie. Her voice cracked. You let me fall in love with a man who didn't exist. He flinched as if her words were knives. I didn't tell you because I wanted to be loved for who I am, not for what I'm worth. Asterisk, tears filled her eyes. But don't you understand? By hiding this, you didn't give me a choice. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away, trembling. Alina, please, he begged quietly. Everything I've given you, every smile, every moment, every part of myself was real. The money, the company, the name, none of that matters. You are the only thing that matters to me. Asterisk, before she could answer, the door opened again. A suited man cleared his throat. Asterisk, Mr. Blackwood, your helicopter leaves in 1 hour. The press is already aware of your return. Alina felt her chest tighten. Ethan wasn't just wealthy, he was important. A leader, a public figure, someone who belonged to a world she had never even touched. Asterisk, Alina, Ethan whispered, voice breaking, come with me. Stand by my side. I need you. Asterisk, she looked at him, this man who had once seemed so simple, now carrying the weight of an empire on his shoulders. Asterisk, her heart was torn between love and betrayal, between the life she wanted and the truth she never asked for. Asterisk, and as Ethan reached for her once more, she realized, asterisk, whatever she decided next, asterisk would change both of their lives forever.